Hey, what's up, y'all? It's G or Gari. I answer to both. On the internet, you can find me at Don't Undersalt, either here on YouTube or on Instagram. So today, I want to talk about fish cakes. Now, I'm not talking about fish fingers or those new craze of fish burgers that all my Americans are probably thinking about. Today, I want to talk about the slightly more refined, much more delicate Japanese fish cake, Kamoboko. It has a mild, fresh seafood smell. It almost smells like the ocean. Let's give it a taste. It has a really nice chew, and it's a very, very delicate fishy flavor. Nothing too potent. Dip it in some soy sauce. The soy really gives it a nice umami flavor and kind of brings out a little more of the fishiness. Now, a couple weeks ago, I was having lunch with a Japanese acquaintance, and we were talking about Kamaboko. She was actually really surprised that a non-Japanese person loves these fish cakes so much. She actually told me that she does not prefer Kamaboko when she gets it at shops because it's usually way too rubbery. She prefers it when it's fresh made. Now, I had to admit, I don't know that I've ever had it fresh made before. So, in true Don't Undersalt fashion, of course, I had to learn how to make Kamoboko for myself and try it fresh made. So I scoured the internet, talked to a couple colleagues, and I learned that there's an area not too far outside of Tokyo called Odawara, where Kamoboko production is very famous. Even better, at the Kamoboko Museum, they offer Kamoboko making classes. Who would have thunk? Now, when I went to sign up for the class, it asked me my language preference, Japanese or English. Of course, I picked English. The lady who was emailing with me to make my reservation for the class also wrote all of her emails in English. So of course, I assumed the class would be taught in English as well. Well, you know what they say when you assume. You make an ass out of you and me. When I got to the class, it was surely all in Japanese, so I had no idea what anyone was saying. They talked way too fast, so Google Translate wasn't able to help either. Now the bonus was, in addition to Kamoboko, they also showed us a different kind of fish cake called chewy. This one is a tad bit chewier, but I really love how the black sesame seeds add a really nice nuttiness. Now, the second really disappointing thing about the class, and probably even more disappointing that I couldn't understand what was being said, was they didn't show us how to make the paste for the fish cake. They essentially gave us a ball for the Kamoboko, a ball of fish paste for the chewy, and all we learned how to do in that 20-minute making class was learn how to form the fish cakes. What a bummer. Anyways, so after the class was over, I had to console myself with some kind of tasty snack. So I head across the street to this super cute place called Cafe 107. It's a cafe that took a historic train car and turned that into the dining room. Their menu are Pinchos. Now, Pinchos are typically a Spanish snack. The last time I had Pinchos was when I was in Barcelona. I think I was around 18 years old. That trip was a lot of fun, save for the fact that my passport got stolen. What was cool about Cafe 107 and their Pinchos, instead of using bread like the traditional Spanish snack, they made their Pinchos with Kamoboko as the bottom instead of the bread. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that when I ate those Pinchos, they were cuter than they were tasty. They were all kind of dry and really chewy. I was pretty bummed out that I didn't exactly learn how to make Kamoboko, and the Pinchos at Cafe 107 weren't exactly up to the mark. The whole experience inspired me to make some Kamoboko Pinchos of my own. From that museum, I brought home a sampler box of all these different flavors of Kamoboko. We have shrimp and edamame, avocado and salmon, nuts and cheddar cheese, fig and cheese, unagi, and I have no idea what this one is. Let's explore the box together and compile some new Pinchos that are hopefully not as dry and much more delicious than the ones I had there. All right, let's start tasting and building our Kamoboko Pinchos. So we're gonna start off with the shrimp and edamame. I only really get the flavor of the shrimp, not even the texture of the edamame since it's all pureed up. So I think with this one, I'm gonna add a broad bean, or soramame as they call it in Japanese. Because I want something a little bit bright, a little bit acidic, I'm gonna add in a couple pieces of pickled ginger. Then hit it with the shrimp and edamame Kamoboko. Cute little guy, give it a taste. That was the right combo, guys. The pickled garlic gave it some nice brightness, a little bit of that fun allium flavor I love so much, and I really liked using the soramame to give you the texture of the edamame. Next up, we have the salmon and avocado. Very interesting. It seems like they put something peppery. So when I think of salmon and avocado, I automatically think of an everything bagel. So for this one, I'm taking a little bit of American inspo. I'm gonna top it with some cream cheese that I sprinkled, some homemade everything but the bagel seasoning, because in Japan, Trader Joe's doesn't exist. And for the base of this one, I'm gonna go with the classic cucumber. Fun fact, my first job at age 15 was at a bagel shop. This is one of my favorite combos, an everything bagel, cream cheese, salmon, cucumber, and sprouts. This is a big boy. Honestly, guys, it really does taste like that bagel combo I told you about. Next up, we have the nuts and cheddar. Now, they didn't tell me what kind of nuts go in this, so let's give it a taste and see if I can figure it out. Definitely a walnut. Now, when I was thinking about the combinations for these pinchos, I was trying to think of different flavors that I really enjoy together with these ingredients on their own. So when I think of nuts and cheddar cheese, I immediately think of a charcuterie board. For this, I'm gonna add a little bit of prosciutto, a little bit of salted butter, and finally, I'm gonna top it with some caramelized onions. This one looks dank. Almost lost my onions there. It's a really good combination. It kind of tasted like eating a really good ham sandwich. And I like how the salted butter kept everything really nice and creamy and super smooth. Before coming to Japan, I'd only ever eaten Kamoboko in ramen. You might recognize the little round circles with the pink swirl. Then we go to the fig and cheese. Just like in the last one where they didn't tell us what kind of nuts are inside, this one, they don't tell you what kind of cheese it is. I can't tell what kind of cheese it is. Whatever it is, it's super mild. What's cool about it is you do get the crunch from the seeds that you typically get when you eat a fresh fig. So for this one, I'm gonna do a piece of smoked chicken, half a cherry tomato, slippery little guy. Definitely not my favorite combo. If I had to build this one again, I would add a little bit of mayo to give it some more creaminess, and I think I would probably also pop on a piece of fresh basil. Now we go on to the unagi. That's freshwater eel. What's really fun about this one is they put a little bit of tamago, or the egg omelet, in the middle. I had originally intended to put that in this one. So now we're just gonna riff. I'm gonna throw on a piece of asparagus, and I want something a little bit peppery for this one. So I'm gonna use some of the sancho pepper chutney that comes from the restaurant I work at here in Tokyo. Nice and peppery. This one reminds me of being in a sushi place with the tamago and the unagi. I'm gonna dip it in some soy sauce. This is definitely my favorite combo so far. Now, you might be asking yourself, what's the point in doing all this if I can only ever get these Kamobokos, these specialty flavored Kamobokos from that very famous shop in Odawara? Well, folks, the reason is because I didn't exactly get the experience I wanted. I wanted to recreate a little bit of fun with the Kamaboko, the fish cake I love so much. And now that Pinchos have been reintroduced in my life, I'm starting to think about what kind of creative pinchos I can make in other parts of the world. Maybe in America, I would serve them with tater tots, all different kinds of toppings for tater tot pinchos. In India, maybe I would use dhokla. Just imagine all the fun flavor combos you can make with that sweet and savory spongy cake. For the final taste of today, I've got the mystery meat. Let's give it a taste and see what it is. Of course, it's crab. What's fantastic about this one is they put a little piece of nori in there. There's asparagus, so it's almost like a California roll. I don't have any toppings to make a pincho out of this one, but because of the crab flavor, I'm almost inspired to do something very American, put a little tiny boiled potato and sprinkle it with some Old Bay. And there you have it, folks. My creative take on Kamaboko pinchos. As I said before, when I'm in other parts of the world, I'll use different ingredients for the base. I might even go back to using the traditional bread like the Spanish people do. If you were to come up with different kinds of pinchos, what ingredients would you use? Anyways, drop your ideas in the comments. I'll see you next time. Bon appetit!